And here we go, back on a Monday live from our DETV Wilmington studios. Here, of course, in the First State. We are back, the whole crew together. Jason, Matthew, Dennis behind the glass. And we are fully into the NFL season. Week 1 is in the books. A lot to talk about. And then, of course, coming up, our Monday Night Football preview as Matthew's San Francisco 49ers open up their season with the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers just 4 plays last year. So that's an exciting one that we will get into later tonight. But, of course, with Monday Night Football on the dock later on here on ESPN, we are going to dive right into the show today as we welcome in, of course, Jason McCall. Jason, how you feeling today? We are going to start with your Baltimore Ravens from Thursday night. But first off, how was your Week 1 weekend for you here, checking out all that NFL action?
I mean, it's like Christmas. It's the most wonderful time of the year, when football season starts, even with a loss. You understand what I'm saying? No, it's a great time, a great weekend. This community things. Shout out to everyone who is an employee of DETV. We opened up our new studio last week. It was a great time. We had blessings from all the higher up officials and all the local personalities.
And shout out to you and Dennis for representing in the show last week.
It was really cool. It was a really great thing. I know we're going to do big things with the studio. We've already done a show from upstairs. So really nice time. We had probably over 300 people in this building.
It looked awesome. I got to check out the live stream.
It was nice. But yeah, a great weekend. Football weekend. I know we talk about NFL, but what about Northern Illinois upsetting Notre Dame, man? And shout out to Coach Hammond, former Ravens running back coach, who's the head coach of Northern Illinois.
Their first win for a top 10 opponent in their history. And of course, Dell State with a big win a few weeks ago as well after that tough loss to Hawaii. Yeah, I'm telling you, things are shaping up. A great start to the football season.
So I say Frankie St. Stony Brook. Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit again as we dive into the NFL action. Matthew, how we feeling? Back here on a Monday evening.
Good.
How are you doing? How was your weekend?
Doing good, man. Not too great. I mean, Florida State is some cheeks, but
can we not?
Yeah, that's my squad.
Rest in peace to our Seminoles, man.
Yeah, that's
we got
a fact.
Tomahawk chopped out.
It's not looking good, but I will say this: I did get immense satisfaction watching Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame, you're one of the worst programs in the '90s, and you're one of the most overrated college groups ever. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. Ain't won nothing since Hoosiers. But listen, I'm just enjoying the college football, NFL, I'm loving it, man. Rudy ain't coming through that door though. Just letting y'all know.
You ain't like Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen?
You see the picture of
not coming through, man.
Somebody photoshopped
and his girlfriend not coming through.
They took the Rudy picture and photoshopped the Northern Illinois logo on his jacket.
I saw that.
They said Rudy's entering the transfer portal. Tough loss for Notre Dame. Maybe they can sneak in that top 12, but it's going to be tough for them now here, especially when you're at a conference, not a chance to win a conference championship, et cetera. I know we're dumping on college football. Last words here.
Dion, you got to get an offensive line at Colorado, bro. Your son is getting smacked around. He's getting smacked around.
And he wasn't afraid in the interview after the game or interview after telling them that it was the offensive line's fault. So Shador, a little,
that young man getting
down a little bit.
Smacked around, and he recruiting the wrong players. You got to get a line, bro.
Come to Florida State.
I thought they had. Had the line.
No, with 2 L's. Get them out of there.
They got the 5-star freshman Jordan Seat coming in this year. 4 other transfers that were supposed to come in and bulk up that offensive line. Didn't work out so far. I'm just hoping next year, because Delaware, we travel to Colorado opening days against Buffaloes next year in Boulder.
We in CSUSA, right?
Yep, Conference USA next year. So that's going to be. I'm hoping Dion's still there. That's all I care. Prime, if you're listening, make sure you're still coaching next year. I want to.
He'll be in Tallahassee next season.
See, that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. So I'm hoping that he's still on the sideline in Boulder next year. But quick intro here, guys. The Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, picked up right where they left off. And again, nothing against the Ravens. I thought they played a decent game. We'll talk about that. Lamar looked really good, in my opinion, there for what he had to deal with there. The Chiefs' defense, very good. The Eagles and the Packers, a big game on Friday night in Brazil for 2 teams that are supposed to be finishing up atop near the NFC standings. The Bengals get upset by the New England Patriots, 8.5-point favorites for a team that many thought was the worst in the league coming in. The Cowboys taking care of business. Everybody badmouthed their off-season additions and what they didn't do. They get a big win over Deshaun Watson and the Browns. We're really going to touch on Watson and Cleveland a little bit later on.
Whoa, that's egregious. Whoa.
Especially after today. Especially after the news that broke again today. Lions win in overtime on Sunday Night Football. We'll recap that overtime thriller with the Rams. And then the quarterback play, guys, in week number 1 wasn't the best around the league. The worst quarterback quarterback numbers since, I believe, 2012 or in the last 10 years for quarterbacks starting. And maybe we could chalk it up to less preseason action like we've been trying to talk about.
But before we dump on all the quarterbacks too much, I want to give a shout out to the NFL. We made history this past week. 15 black quarterbacks started an NFL game in week 1. All-time record. We were told that once we were not smart enough to play the position, and now we account for half the starting quarterbacks in the league. So clap it up for the NFL.
My guy A. Rich, huge day for me in fantasy yesterday.
I don't know how long this is going to stay.
26 points.
We're going to celebrate
It's
while it's here,
about
though.
10. It's only about 10 by the end of the season.
But, you know.
Again, and we'll talk about Captain Mid, who's going to make his
Captain
way into the
Mid.
program today. We've been laying off the
which
Captain Mid
one?
name for almost a year now, but that might be well-deserved.
reclaimed
It
the
might be
throne
coming back here. We'll talk about that. But let's start with the NFL opener on Thursday night, a rematch of the AFC Championship. Two of the best teams in the AFC back at it this year, also in Vegas, place to finish around the same spot. Chiefs are the favorites to win the Super Bowl at plus 500. Xavier Worthy at his debut gets 2 touchdowns on limited touches there. Rashee Rice seemed to be the number 1 option for Kansas City in that receiving game. He had 7 catches, 103 yards. Lamar Jackson, I thought, was phenomenal. 26 of 41 for 273 yards, had that touchdown. Him and Isaiah Likely were cruising in that game, but he did a lot of it on the ground, and I think that had to do with the Chiefs' defense, kind of made him use those legs, and he did it. 122 yards rushing. Jason, your initial takeaways, it was a good game, 27-20. The Chiefs get the victory. They have loaded up back on offense, it seems. It seems like we're going to see a better version of that offense. Last year they struggled, but the Ravens, I thought, didn't play too bad of a game. What did you take away from Baltimore?
No, it was not a good game. Sorry. The score makes it look better than what it was. This was a horrible game. I'm going to be honest with you. It was a horrible game. You did not use the tight ends until the third quarter, and you did not run Derrick Henry enough throughout the game. Lamar should not throw the ball 40 times in the game. That's just what it is. No quarterback should throw the ball 40
And
times
have
in the game.
16 carries.
So you're overthrowing them, and you're running him in the ground as well in the same game. I mean, it worked. It willed us back to almost a victory. But no, that was not a great game. I'm not going to sit here and tell that lie and be caught up in a hoopla because the score was close. No. The way the Ravens played, we probably should have been beat by about 20. Luckily, we were able to come back and make it a respectable score.
Because of Lamar. I think Lamar played
Lamar,
down the stretch.
I saw, like I said, the game planning. I didn't like the offensive play calling in week 1. Likely does what he does, but you wait until the end of the third, going to the fourth quarter to get him open. And throughout the first 2 quarters, Mark Andrews didn't even have a target. So that's not Ravens football. Play action pass. You hit Andrews' intermediate route, middle of the field. Zay Flowers had a decent game, but he didn't have enough targets either. So I feel like the Ravens at times try to be someone else other than who they are. You're a run-first football team, and you set up the pass through the run. And you saw that when they had Henry and Lamar the game at the same time. But even also once Lamar started getting hot running the ball, you saw that's when the passing lanes opened up. So the game plan wasn't consistent enough throughout the entire game for me. That's why I say it was a bad game. But on to the Chiefs. First off, hats off to Mahomes. He's Mahomes. But let's be honest about it. Neither quarterback had their typical game. We're not going to act like they mollywopped the Ravens or Mahomes threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's not what he did not do. He threw for timely passes and things like that. But I want to say this. How was Rashee Rice able to play in that game? How's he able to play right now this season, period, with the charges he has pending? Because if you single out other players for lesser things and suspend them before probable just cause, how is he able to play with the charges he has right now?
Court case set for December. The NFL is saying, hey, we're going to allow this court case to play out before we hand out anything on their own. So at the earliest, you would think
But
late
that's
December.
nasty. Deshaun Watson missed the whole season while going through litigation. There are other players who missed time going through litigation, couldn't step on the field. Why is he exempt from that?
I want to ask you 2 questions about the Ravens here, Jace, quickly before I get to the Chiefs and Matthew here. New defensive coordinator Mike McDonald. He's now the head coach in Seattle. They get a win in his opener. We'll talk about Seattle later. But a new defensive coordinator, and then year 2 here for Todd Monken. What did you think about the defensive performance there for the Ravens?
It was
Did you notice anything different as opposed to last year?
I noticed that we have cornerback depth finally, where everybody's healthy. I noticed that. But hate to say it, but right now we are missing Patrick Queen as that second person to Roquan.
That Steelers defense looks really good.
Now Trenton Simpson, he's going to catch up, but it was week one.
Exactly.
I think with the Ravens defense, just week one jitters, and our D coordinator is a former player.
Tough offense to go against in week one on
Yeah,
Thursday.
I mean, but like I said, Mahomes didn't have typical Mahomes game. The Ravens just didn't do enough on offense earlier in the game, just like what happened in the championship game last year.
And again, if they go behind, right? Yeah, that run first, it's kind of hard to do, especially with Derrick Henry when you go down early. But Chiefs able to get going early. They found the rookie a few times. Matthew, your guy Patrick Mahomes, the favorite to win the MVP. Yep. I've been saying it all offseason. You come in this year, you add Hollywood Brown, you add Xavier Worthy. Rashid Rice going into year 2. Juju's back out there. They are. It seems like they're going to be set on offense. Last year they struggled. The efficiency was not there. It was the defense that kind of got them to the playoffs, and then they picked it up a little bit in the playoffs. The offense did. The offense looks like it might be back here like we saw 2 years ago. Is Patrick Mahomes, in your opinion, the favorite here to win that MVP again this year?
I think so. I mean, I think he's got a really good, probably the best team he's had since he had with on the offensive side since Tyreek was there.
Yeah, I agree.
But I will say this, and look, I've been big on this kid for a couple years now. Picked him up in fantasy. Look, I think Mark Andrews done as being the number 1 tight end for the Ravens.
I agree.
Yeah, that kid is a star.
Likely is a star.
Likely is a star.
And they got to find ways to get him on the field. And they're doing that this year, it seems like, finally in the first game.
But he just adds another dimension. And look, respect to Mark Andrews. That guy is the heart there. But then he's just got so much physical gifts at that tight end position. I mean, the ability to catch and run after the catch is just so fast. He's athletic. He makes really amazing jump ball catches. Like, even though that wasn't fair because of the nonsense of half his foot being out, that's not a catch that 75% of the tight ends in National Football can make. I mean, the way that he caught and still kept his balance and put his I mean, that kid's a star, and I just think. Unfortunately, I think Mark Andrews, if you have him in fantasy, is going to suffer a little bit this year. I think that kid's going to take off to the next level.
I mean, if likely had Deion's foot, it would have been touchdown. But
we're wearing Patrick Mahomes after the game. Next time, wear white cleats.
Yeah,
might have a better
there you go.
But that was a heck of a game overall. Yeah. And again, we'll see what happens. Mark Andrews, they ran a lot of 2 tight end sets here. A lot of that 12 personnel for Baltimore this year. Didn't see that as much of it last year as we talked about. And then I think it's a great. I think it looked really good. I think it worked out. You could use that power run game with Derrick Henry, 2 tight ends to block, and then when you've got guys like Andrews and Likely that can also catch the ball in the receiving game. I think that offense could be, exactly what we thought it was going to be.
And before we go, got to get this out. The illegal formation penalties, NFL, you gotta stop this because there's no way you're enforcing this rule all of a sudden when everybody lines up the exact same.
That was their point of emphasis in the offseason. And I wonder, and I say this, and I wonder if they didn't play Thursday. I think all the teams saw that on Thursday and knew to not even make it close because I think if they didn't make that call on Thursday, I think you would have seen a lot more of it yesterday.
But you saw a lot of it. The same thing the Ravens doing. The teams weren't getting called for it. You saw it on Sunday. You saw the same exact formations on Sunday.
I mean, I think on the offensive line, the plays that I've hated the most is I think that the NFL has really given a lot of cushion to the tackles. Tackles kick out so fast.
Oh, yeah, and that's what they're trying to stop.
Yeah. Snap yet, man. How is he kicking?
He's already
like
3 yards in the backfield. Yeah.
Like, and I'm not picking on this guy, and I'm not picking on this team, but Lane Johnson to me is habitual. I don't know how he doesn't get called almost every play. I mean,
he
is kicking out
Taylor
early.
From the Chiefs last year, I know he was the most penalized player.
Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah,
I can name a
couple
few
guys.
Those guys kick out.
And that's what they're trying to stop. Yeah, and that's what they were trying to stop. And again, in terms of the Eagles game, didn't see Lane Johnson do it a lot on Friday.
No, I did not.
He watched that game Thursday and said, okay, I'm going to have to limit that action here on Friday. Speaking of the Eagles on Friday, they beat the Packers in Brazil 34-29. Big takeaways after the game, though. Jordan Love goes down with 5 seconds left in the game. Terrible. MCL injury. They're predicting 3 weeks. Coach LaFleur saying, though, he will not have to go on IR, so that is a big sigh of relief for the Packers, but we said all offseason, Saquon Barkley to Philly, and it worked out at least in week 1. 3 touchdown in his debut, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 23 yards, and a touchdown. Dennis, do you have that image that I sent you a little bit earlier after week 1? And it will take some time to put it up here potentially. There it is. Saquon, 3 touchdowns. The Giants, 0.
I have a graphic like that too.
So just there, and we'll talk about the Giants and how bad they looked a little bit later on in the show. Hurts didn't look too sharp, but they got the job done. 20 of 34, 278, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. J.J. Brown, that big touchdown catch. Something funny, guys?
That boy looked nasty out there. I don't know what we doing. Something not too good.
I mean, it was.
That boy looked nasty out there,
Let's do
man.
this. Did you guys watch? How many games did you guys watch yesterday?
I watched all of them.
I watched
And
yeah,
you watched
pretty
the
much all of
quarterback
them.
play in all of them, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me Jalen Hurts didn't have a top 5 to 10 day yesterday?
Top 10 day, yeah.
Top
Adam,
10, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
give me 9 quarterbacks you thought played better than him. Let's go right now. Go through the
Lamar.
games. I'll let you go through the games and pick out. Oh,
Well-
Lamar, yes, absolutely.
Dak.
You don't think Dak didn't have a better game?
Dak.
No, he didn't have
Your
to.
man threw 2 picks.
Against the Packers. It's a game
Dak
in Brazil,
had
and the
a
two
better
picks is
game
right. You're right. He
than
should be
Hurts.
So now the
interceptions.
Packers are a lockdown guy now?
The Packers have.
You guys-
if you look at the NFC standings or with predictions with Vegas, Packers are projected to be a top 4 team in the NFC. Huh? Is it though? This year?
Jared Goff and Matt Stafford both had better games than Jalen Hurts.
So here's my thing.
19 of 32, 179 yards, a touchdown, sacked 3 times. So 85
who's this we're
rating
talking
for
about?
Dak.
Dak? Yeah. Now, what was his completion rate? I don't think Jalen Hurts got 60% on his completions. I think Justin Fields was. I thought Justin Fields 75%. I mean, look, and I agree.
And again,
with you.
it's not all about
Quarterback
completion
play
percentage.
Was down all the way
across,
around.
yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't-
absolutely.
So I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts. All I'm saying is if you're an Eagles fan, you're not going to sit here and tell me you got the warm and fuzzies. You got the warm and fuzzies about Saquon. You didn't have the warm and fuzzies with Jalen. You're like, oh, what is this? You can't tell me you're like, oh yeah, this is great. This is.
Oh no,
this
I
is
didn't.
a
Say, that's
great
why I
day.
said he wasn't sharp. I definitely think he wasn't sharp. But when you're still able to get a win over the Packers in Brazil, the offense puts up 34 points. You throw for 2 touchdowns. You'd like to not to have the 2 interceptions, but people throw picks sometimes. You turn the ball over twice. Overall, I think that's a successful day to go to Brazil, get a win, put up those type of numbers. Also rush the ball, get the ball to Saquon, which was the game plan. That worked out well. I mean, when you look at it across the board, you're right. It wasn't. I definitely wouldn't say it's not encouraging though.
I'm talking about, and let's not also forget about this. We're also talking about off the backdrop of how the season went after
10-1 again.
Well, that's why I think
10-1.
this win was. If they come out and lose this game to Green Bay, even though Green Bay's a really good team, the panic starts already. For them to go into Brazil, get a win against the Packers and Jordan Love, who finished last year as the hottest team potentially in the conference, I think that's a big win to be able to do that on a Friday to start the season. Because if they take a loss there, things could go downhill very quickly. So I think it was a big win for the Eagles.
And
huge
again,
win.
I said he had a top 10 day. I just wouldn't say top 5. I don't think you would say he has top 5 if you went through everybody's stuff.
It'd be, like I said,
Derek
it
Carr
didn't
had the
look
best day of
sharp.
everybody.
And that's
That's
the thing, right? It all depends. And like you
Derek
said,
Carr's the
Dennis
best day.
Like
Cleveland
Tua.
had
Tua and
Tua
Derek Carr
had
the
it.
best day.
Stafford had, I think Mahomes did.
yeah.
Baker Mayfield
And again,
played amazing.
Baker Mayfield might have had the best day if you
That's
were to
probably,
think about
if
it.
you're gonna
And
go there.
Lamar maybe number 2. Mahomes
So
is in there.
I probably got hurt
Yeah.
somewhere 7, 8. I don't think that's like I said,
yeah,
top
yeah,
10 day.
No, I agree with you
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I said, not sharp and definitely has to look better. Those 2 interceptions, were not great interceptions. I'll give you that for sure. But I think the team as a whole able to get that victory. The defense, I didn't think looked too bad. I think they looked better.
I
Jalen
agree.
Carter, I thought looked good.
I think Fangio ran a good-
secondary looked a lot better than what we saw last year.
More
But the Packers
disciplined.
are a really good offense, so I think it's a give and take there. But 34-29, I think that was good. What are you guys' main takeaways from that one here in the NFC?
That was actually a great game. I'm not gonna say that was
was a good game.
That was enjoyable to watch. Like you had two premier quarterbacks, premier. I'm not gonna say elite, both, but say premier, better word, going back and forth. 2 of your more storied franchises.
You gotta be kidding me. Sorry, guys. Breaking news on the desk here tonight. Christian McCaffrey inactive for this game against the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow.
I had the number 1 pick in fantasy
Wait a
this
minute.
year.
Oh,
I selected
changed
Christian.
my,
I selected Christian McCaffrey with the number 1 pick.
Is there any reason?
It just says inactive. That was not the plan. They interviewed
Wow.
him over the weekend. He said he was feeling really good and that he expected a full workload tonight. A calf Achilles injury and label it as a big surprise. So I feel horrible about taking Christian McCaffrey now at the number 1 pick overall. Jordan Mason will get the start tonight. More about that game in our Monday Night Football preview.
Can I cash out my thing for the game?
Yeah, Matthew, let's go to your quickly. Let's just talk about that for a second because that's breaking news. Christian McCaffrey inactive. Like I said, over the weekend they talked to him and he said, "I'm good. I want a or close to a full workload on Monday night against the Jets." Sure. A big surprise here. What are your takeaways here from this news?
I mean, look, we're gonna see that. We're going to see the growth of Brock Purdy.
Get your Jets. That line's going to close now. If you got the Jets, put that Jets +4 in right now. That line is going to change.
It just dropped to 3.5.
See, it's going to keep going down. It will not stay at 3. I think that's going to keep going.
Yeah, I agree.
But back to you, Matt. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's pertinent. I just think that this is going to be the news that we're going to have to see if just how much Brock Purdy's progressed. Yeah. When certain guys were out of the lineup last year, he struggled, and I think that this is we're going to see. We're going to see. I mean, look, this is why people have been dreading paying him because they don't know what he is yet. Now, look, I'm a Niner fan. I don't know what he is yet either. But I know there's a lot of money on this year, and we're going to see. I mean, he's got to make these steps. So
he must start running back in my league.
I mean, me too. Well, I'm going to chalk that up as a Week 1 loss for me and Christian McCaffrey. I'll tell you what.
Dang.
Man, that one hurts.
Is brutal.
That one hurts. Again, a huge surprise. Christian McCaffrey inactive with a calf/Achilles tonight for the San Francisco 49ers. Again, we heard all good things the last month of training camp into the preseason and now into the regular season. Good things all weekend. Well, I'm
assuming that's Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason will get the start in place. And look for the rookie Isaac Guerrero to maybe get some touches on the back end.
I think Jordan Mason.
With Elijah Mitchell out for the year, put on IR. So the Eagles beat the Packers there. We'll talk about Monday Night Football again shortly.
I just got Jordan Mason started over.
There you go.
Thank God you got Jordan. I didn't get Jordan Mason in that league. Somebody drafted him really early, and this is why, I guess. And
it's McCaffrey.
And now maybe I drafted Isaiah Likely in that league, and a lot of people didn't draft him, so maybe I'll have to trade Isaiah Likely for Jordan Mason.
In my league, I drafted Xavier Worthy, so I was able to steal him.
Yeah, oh, man. So bad news if you're a 49ers fan or even just a fan of Monday Night Football tonight. Yeah, that stinks. That changes everything. To the Cowboys and the Browns, Dak signing that record deal right an hour before kickoff. That's never been done.
Get your money, black man. Get your money.
Very timely deal there.
Get your money.
So Dak gets all the money. Before we get into the game, but the Cowboys looked very good, 38-17. And again, I thought Dak played okay. To me, the biggest takeaway from this game was Deshaun Watson and just how atrocious he has looked in Cleveland.
That boy cooked.
This might be the worst start of his career now, and we're just not seeing that guy that we saw in Houston at all anymore. 2 of 11 passes that traveled 10-plus air yards. That's all he was able to complete. So any pass over 10 yards, he was 2 of 11. I mean, those numbers are hard to replicate no matter – I mean, it is. It's just tough to do. That is atrocious quarterback play. And the Cowboys get a 38-17 win. The offense looked okay. Zeke was back there. CD 5 catches, 61 yards. The defense had 2 picks. Held the Browns to 3 yards per play in that game. It was one of the ugliest performances offensively that I've seen. Guys, what are your takeaways here? Is this more about the Cowboys and everybody badmouth them for not making any offseason additions? They look good here in Week 1, Matthew. Is this more about the Cowboys or is this more about the Browns? Because the Browns were a team that everybody had sneaking back into the playoffs again this year.
I mean, look, shout out to Dallas. They stayed with their their philosophy. Look, I even saw Zeke come back. I was like, oh, what is this, 4 years ago?
Wearing number 15.
Look, man, that's right. They're going to go with their originals. I respect it. I think that was great. But I will say this, and I've thought about it a long time. I have not seen a quarterback, a player, other than like the only guy I can think of, and maybe you guys have somebody else, is Nick Anderson when he missed those free throws, where I've seen a guy either have something that happened to them in a game or something off the court. And maybe Gilbert Arenas, where like with the gun thing, where like it just totally changed the whole trajectory of the career.
With the shot, maybe.
Simmons, maybe.
I got another one.
Good.
Dominique Wilkins after the Achilles in Atlanta.
Yeah, that changed his game too. And that's the thing. Like, I hate to see this with Deshaun, but like it just seems like the year was like a year and like 4 or 5 months or something like that. The break, it just seemed to have robbed him of his joy. And I don't see a guy that is infectious. I don't see a guy that wants to lead players. I just see a guy that goes in the game, unfortunately, and looks like he's just there to cash a check and be done. And, it's sad. Deshaun came in with a lot of respect, a lot of love.
Yeah.
And
really good. From what you heard about everything about that guy, they called him the Michael Jordan of, or whatever, college football. They just said he was just like the nicest guy to everyone. Like he would go to the cafeteria people, he gave them a check when he got to Houston. Like, he was always, looking out for those less fortunate, and just seemed like a really good guy.
What is it? The COVID shutdown.
COVID and hurricane.
Yeah, and it's sad to see, man. I hate to see. And look, I say sad to see. He's got 1,000,001 reasons not to be sad when he goes home, but from what he was supposed to be for the Browns, man, if I'm a Browns fan, I'm just completely ugh.
At the time, and it just got passed by Dak yesterday. Until that point, he was the highest paid quarterback. He broke the record. Highest paid quarterback in NFL history, most guaranteed money at a time where another team or not another owner wanted to give him that because of all the things that he was going through. Cleveland went out on a limb. They had Baker Mayfield. They had just won a playoff game against the Steelers in Cleveland that year. They decided to kick Baker to the curb. They went and signed Deshaun for all that money, and it has been you could say disaster because last year they made the playoffs, but that was because of Joe Flacco. It wasn't because of Deshaun Watson.
And the defense,
So the defense was the best in the league. So I think Matthew might be right, Jason. Is Deshaun Watson done? Is it time to maybe look for Jameis Winston if you're Cleveland?
30 for 30. Let's do it.
Hey, put some respect on that man's name. Still got leave him alone.
He's Florida's finest, man. Trust me, I love him.
So
Eat them dubs.
No, Watson's cooked.
Thank you for so eloquently putting that.
No, once you have a knee injury
and the shoulder, the throwing shoulder.
He's had injuries that a lot of people really don't come back from. And then you
think it's more physical than
then
mental?
It's both.
Yeah.
He's the new Ben Simmons. Yeah. It is what it is. He's Ben Simmons of football.
It's like after Tim Anderson, that huge year for the White Sox his rookie year, and then Jose Ramirez knocked him out on the field in that brawl, and he's cut now. He's not even on the team. Was an all-star, the poster boy for Dairy Queen that year for the White Sox. Got knocked out by Jose Ramirez from the Indians in an in-game brawl.
I remember that fight.
Never was the same. He's now cut. He went from being an all-star to being cut. After that hit, he just never could hit the ball again.
And let's also remember this. Coming out of Clemson, let me say this. The worries about him were physical. They didn't think he had the strongest arm. There were questions about him being able to throw in pockets and in space and windows.
Now you're seeing it all
come out with, just like you just mentioned, with all the injuries. I just think all those things are coming back.
And again, when he played for Houston, they were good maybe a second or third year. They were playing from behind a lot, so they were airing the ball out a lot. Maybe that garbage time had to do with some of those numbers, maybe.
Also, he was throwing up
Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins.
He was throwing to a prime DeAndre Hopkins. He caught everything in the air.
So we'll see what happens. I think, and you gave him maybe 1 or 2 weeks. I think if you got to make that decision early, I think you move on from him. You eat the money. One of the worst contracts, if not the worst in NFL history.
He's the second worst starting quarterback right now.
Depending, though, guys, how this Kirk Cousins contract plays out this year.
Oh, Daniel Jones no more?
Daniel Jones is number one.
And we will talk about that as well. Let's rock it through this here. 20 minutes left in the program.
Yeah.
Lions win that playoff rematch last night. A hell of a game that went into overtime.
Mid-and-waiting Jared Goff, congrats.
And open a breakout party for Jameson Williams. We've been waiting for J-Mo. 5 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown in that game.
Jameson, take a sip.
Cooper Kupp is back to his 2021 form. 21 targets.
Yeah, but
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, but at the expense of Puka Nacua, another player I had in my starting lineup.
Me too. I did too, man.
Drafted him
I
too.
lost McCaffrey and now Puka on the same team starting today. So not looking good for me going forward. 21 targets, 14 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. He looked like that Triple Crown winner last night for the Rams.
Going sell high.
Well, sell high. You think so?
Sell high,
Do you think it's healthy? You think he can not stay healthy, or do you think it's a production? He'll slow down production.
I think it'll slow down production, and I also think, look, it's just hard to repeat those levels, man. I just, usually when guys have those kind of seasons, they usually have physical profiles that allow them to continue to be somewhere near that. Kupp, he's got to get everything out of him. So I don't know. We'll see. It's just a hard situation. I don't know if I'd trust him to have the kind of return Triple Crown year. I think he's going to have.
No Triple Crown year, no.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a good season. I think he'll be, depending on where you get him in fantasy, I think he'll be a quality guy. But look, if you got somebody out there that's hyped on him, thinking he can maybe return that Triple Crown, hey man, sell high.
There you go.
Give me a running back.
There you go.
Jason, Lions offensive line, best in the league last year. Once again, dominated this game. The final drive in overtime, one pass, they ran it down their throats. David Montgomery, a touchdown run to cap it off, a walk-off win for Detroit.
Could have been you, Chicago.
What do you think?
I'm just mad at fantasy because it should have been Jameer Gibbs. He was starting running back.
That gives another league, too.
Like, just.
But what do you think about the Lions? What does this say about the Lions? Are they, again, last year they were right there about making the Super Bowl a tough game with Matthews' 49ers. Is this the year that the Lions maybe
Shout out
break
to them.
through?
Appreciate
It says they were playing at home. That's what it says.
They still got Jared Goff.
No, and until the Lions put themselves on the road, you know. I remember the Ravens beat them 38-6 in Baltimore last year.
Yes, they did.
And they lost a couple other road games in bad fashion.
We don't believe Jared Goff around here, so
Nah,
he's mid and waiting. So
And we'll get to the Mr. Kept the Bid here again shortly. Pats upset the Bengals. If you're in a survival league, I'm sure you picked that game. Again, 50% of all survival bettors last night that took the Bengals as 8.5-point favorites over the Jacoby Brissett New England Patriots have been knocked out. A huge upset win for the New England. Gerard Mayo wins his coaching debut for the Pats. Brissett, 15-24, $121. Stevenson, though, 25 carries, 120 yards and a touchdown. A lot of that rushing yardage coming after contact as well there. So a phenomenal game for Stevenson. Joe Burrow, 21 of 29, 164 yards, was sacked 3 times. Chase with just 6 catches for 62 yards. They took away everything deep. They put those safeties back and played a lot of zone coverage, made them come underneath. Joe Burrow said he was taking what they were giving him. Didn't work out for the Bengals, though. A huge loss to start their season in a gimme game against the Patriots. You at least would think coming in.
No, I didn't bet on that game. Burrow has a nasty first 2-week record in the NFL. He's like 1-8 in the first 2 weeks.
The first 4 weeks.
First 4 weeks, he's like 1-8.
We had this discussion last year.
Yeah, he's
on the show.
like he doesn't start until week 5. Like Bengals early in the
And
season.
no T. Higgins.
Don't bet on Burrow anything. He is 1-8 now in the first weeks. Like he's horrible. It's like the first 4 weeks of training camp for him still.
So you're not
Then he
worried
gets
about
hot.
the Bengals then? No, it's just
Not
a
right
bad
now,
loss. I
no,
mean, maybe a
not-
loss against the worst team, but not even a little bit.
I am worried. I'll tell
I'll
you
tell you
why.
what, because they were a popular Super Bowl pick this year.
That ain't happen. That's maybe on Madden, Ultimate Team. It's not happening in real life.
I think Dennis has the Bengals to
No,
reach the
I'm
Super
worried
Bowl.
about them because there's no Joe Mixon there anymore.
And he looked damn good with Houston.
30 carries, 159? I'm worried about that. And them not paying Jamar Chase yet.
Yeah, that's starting to get ridiculous, huh? At least he played out. I mean, next week he might just.
But
not play.
he is arguably their best player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's even
And
arguable.
you won't pay him? You gave Burrow money without any hesitation.
Some of these owners, man, CD should have been paid a while. Thank goodness they got that deal. John Jerry finally smartened up a little bit.
But you're going to run the risk of losing Higgins and Chase?
Higgins is gone. I mean, next year, and I can see he's already kind of being careful with that hamstring, right? Because this is his contract year. He is not going to play for the Bengals if he even feels like it would hurt him a little bit.
That's a fact.
He is going to stay out of that, which again, all because they didn't give him a deal either. So it all comes back.
He'll be in Baltimore next season.
He'll be somewhere else.
Yeah,
That's
he'll be in
for
Baltimore. He should have came. He could have come last year. But the
Takeaways-
price wasn't right.
Takeaways, Matthew, Cincinnati. How do you
I've never seen any team fumble the bag this badly before. I mean, it's been a long time. You're talking about a team so we're very excited about the Texans.
Yes.
The thing about the Texans is they load up with Joe Mixon. They've hit on picks.
Offensive line's very good.
Offensive line is good. They've got a great
Add to the
coach.
defense.
Excellent defense. And they have the most important piece is they have a top 10 QB under a rookie contract.
That's the key, right? Year 2 of that rookie contract.
Year 2. The Bengals had all that, fumbled that. They've now lost, I think, probably the second most important piece on that roster with Mixon being gone. Because the thing about Mixon was he was able to relieve some of the pressure off Joe Mixon because they have not done well building through the draft
And they cut
with
him.
the O-line. Yeah. O-line has been deplorable there. It's one of the
yes.
for a guy that's not super mobile to have a O-line where you're just refusing to take offensive linemen in the first 2 rounds is crazy to me. I don't even know what we're doing here with this. It's wild to me. And you don't pick anybody. And what you're going to run the risk of is you're going to run the risk of having a situation where all the talent leaves and then all you have is Burrow throwing to a rookie that you hope ends up being good, because the guys, to Jason's point, how do you not pay Chase? You've got T. Higgins, but he's gone. He's not going to come back. So you don't have any spectacular tight end play. You don't have any good offensive linemen. And you don't have a running back that you can really right now hang your hat on. So offensively, that window is pretty shaky. And then defensively, I don't know where they're going to go defensively. Trash to me.
And again, talking about Joe Mixon, he was a salary kind of a dump, right? You heard the rumors last year that they might cut him and he might not be back last year. And then you heard the rumors again this year, and they actually went ahead and did it. And you go back to that draft class, right, when they drafted Jamar Chase, 5th overall, had him high on my board then. But my number one player in that draft was Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, who ended up being the number one rated offensive tackle in the league right now. We're seeing what that Detroit Lions offensive line and what that whole mindset and mentality that they have is taken over. And that's what, and again, I don't think you would ever go back on the Jamar Chase pick in that scenario. But if there was one other guy you might have taken there, it might have been Penei Sewell, again, to anchor that offensive line. And we've seen what it's done for Detroit and how good they've been. But again, Jason, next step for them is they got to pay that man. Because, again, T. Higgins doubtful, he's not playing. And if things continue to go bad for Cincinnati early, maybe Jamar Chase says, you know what, I'm going to pack my stuff up. Why do I want to risk coming out here playing?
Listen.
Though he is in a unique situation. 2 years left on his contract. He is not a free agent after next year.
Jamar is you going to hear it right now. Jamar Chase is going to pack his bags.
Oh, no. Joe wouldn't let that happen. I don't think Burrow lets that happen.
It's not about Joe. I think it's past Joe Burrow's reach right now.
And going back to Matthew's point, and the big part about that rookie deal was they were set up. They got Burrow at the number one pick, got Chase the next year.
Right.
I mean, they were set up on those rookie deals. T. Higgins, a second-round pick. He was on his rookie deal. The big issue there, though, was the health of Joe Burrow. He missed 2 of those years. Yeah, they made it to the Super Bowl the one year he was healthy, but when you're missing almost 2 years of that 4-year rookie deal due to injuries,
and still got
that'll
the money.
set you back.
And still got the money. I would have made Joe play on a 5th-year prove-it deal. I wouldn't have gave him the contract extension. That's just me.
I don't think you got a QB then. I think Joe would sit out, I think.
Well, he ain't here when he's playing. What we doing?
Again, you got to wait till week 5, though. Again, historically bad through the first 4 weeks for Joe Burrow. We'll see if maybe he gets T. Higgins back. We'll see if Jamar Chase gets. He was kind of aggravated after the game. Said he wants more than 6 targets. Got to ask the coaches. Was the quote
Who?
for Jamar Chase after the game? He said he only got 6 targets. Had 6 catches on those targets.
6 cards.
Well, let's jump over here to the rookie quarterbacks. It was not a great day if you were a rookie starter in week 1 here. Caleb Williams, 14 of 29, 93 yards, 15 yards rushing. The Bears defense, though, bails him out. 2 touchdowns for Chicago.
Can I say something about Caleb Williams real quick? I don't know, man. Look, this might be unpopular opinion, but I think we got to bring back toxic masculinity, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
Here we go.
I was watching the game.
Here we go.
And they actually said that part of the pregame what his nails were painted. I'm like, come on, bro. What are we doing here?
The Bears.
You know what I mean? What are we doing here? It's time we start booing these dudes, man.
Can you do this?
I'm tired of this, man. Jared McCain. We start booing them, man. Bring that toxic masculinity back, man. Start booing these dudes, man.
Caleb,
tired of these dudes, man.
Bears did get the win. First rookie quarterback or first number 1 overall pick to get a win in their rookie debut since 2012. But again, defense took care of him.
Twinkle fingers, man. We gotta stop this, man.
Jaden Daniels, 17 of 24, 184 yards, the worst passing grade of the rookie quarterbacks, but made up for it on the ground. 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Found the end zone in garbage time. Did fumble 3 times, but the Bucks beat the Commanders because Baker Mayfield was lighting it up for Tampa Bay. We'll talk about him in a second. And then Bo Nix, 26 of 42, 130 yards, 2 picks, 5 carries, 35 yards.
Had the most impressive rookie debut.
He actually
Really?
surprised me. I saw some plays.
I was like, yeah.
I was like, Bo.
Then
I thought he struck.
that third down escape for the first down he ran for. I said, wait a minute. This old
Bo
man
actually got
Nix
some
out here?
wheels. He got
Now,
some
was
wheels.
that game on cable television? Was that a game on a
I saw it on Red Zone. So
Okay, Red Zone. Gotcha. I was thinking,
I'm admit I ain't watched the whole entire Broncos game.
I was looking for it. I couldn't.
But
No, I was
man.
watching it. I was watching that game actually.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't watch
So-
the whole Broncos game.
The Broncos defense kept them in it for 3 quarters, and the 4th quarter just imploded.
And Geno had a
But
couple
like
big
the Broncos got 2 safeties in the first
Kenneth
quarter.
Walker looked really good yesterday.
So the score was the Broncos were up 10-9 at halftime because they got 2 safeties
Yeah, that was
on
crazy.
Seattle.
And they were their first team ever to have, I believe, 2 safeties and lose the football.
Yeah, Geno looking crazy.
So, I mean, Seahawks
When they started running the ball with Kenneth Walker, and then
and that offensive line has not been
Tyler
great.
Lockett
Some
started
injuries.
catching passes. I was like, where did Tyler Lockett come from?
Yeah.
What?
So, again, all around kind of a rookie struggle, but I look for those guys to get better as the season progresses. of course, with those three guys in their first start. No huddle here as we wrap up the rest of our action from yesterday. Again, we talked about the quarterbacks. Week NFL passing touchdowns. There were 61 in 2019, 33 so far here over the weekend. So passing has been way down, but let's jump into some of these other games. And it starts with Justin Fields, who gets the start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Russell Wilson, a calf injury, ends up having to miss week 1. It might have been his biggest mistake here, allowing Justin Fields to get the start in this offense. Looked pretty good there, 18-10, but the big takeaway for me was the Steelers' defense absolutely lights out on the road against this high, new-powered Atlanta offense that looked atrocious. They ran every single play out of shotgun. That's my second use of atrocious tonight. They ran every play out of shotgun. They threw the ball every play out of regular shotgun, and then when they went in the pistol, they ran the ball every play out of the pistol. It was actually mind-boggling play selection to line up in those two formations and to run the ball every time one way and to pass the ball every time another way. It's almost kind of crazy for an NFL team to be that predictable. They were. Kirk Cousins usually at his best out of play action, Captain Mid, and that's what kept us from using Captain Mid last year before he tore that Achilles. Falcons did not run one play action pass the entire game. Not one. They lose 18-10. Their offense looked horrible. Jason, what's going on in Atlanta with all those stars?
I'm going to say this. We have to remember.
The Steelers' defense.
Not even that. Kirk Cousins, until Aaron Rodgers plays tonight, Kirk Cousins is the first quarterback to come back from an Achilles injury and to start a game the following season.
That's a good point.
This doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
So he can't plant. He's throwing off of one leg all day.
And again, and to my point, I'm not blaming it all on Kirk, but if you're the Falcons, who of course I believe it's Zach Robinson now running that offense in Atlanta from the Rams coaching tree. I mean, you got to put him in a better position to succeed. I mean, it's hard to believe.
I don't know how long he's going to stay on the field with him on one leg like that, and that's what Matt's kind of trying to allude to before. Even with the contract, like you might see Penix a lot earlier than expected, just because of the way Kirk Cousins looks on the field. It may be just 1 week aberration, but again, with Achilles injuries, you normally don't. You're not yourself again after those. I mean, you saw you can use all the basketball analogies with players. A quarterback with Achilles injury is similar to a person who's a dunker in the NBA. Once you lose your best attribute, that's it. So if you weren't mobile before, right? Yeah. And you have an Achilles injury. Yeah. You don't have a strong you have a decent arm, not a strong arm. Yeah. You can't plant and let the ball rip. Nor can you get away from a defense, which is why he was sacked and pressured so many times yesterday.
And again, TJ Watt was
TJ Watt is the best defensive player in the league.
Thank you. I agree. Best defensive player in the league.
And
should have won the award last year.
That's me, a Ravens fan, saying that. I know what he's done to us in games. You just say what I'm saying.
It is crazy.
I so close and personal. Man. He is the guy now that Aaron Donald has retired. Let's just put it out there. As far as a pass rusher, he's number 1, and Chris Jones is probably number 2.
And then you maybe got Myles Garrett in there, number 3.
Miles Garrett 3.
Parsons and Garrett are in there.
I think it's TJ. That's conversation. But 100%. TJ Watt is he's the elite.
And again, when you're going up against a guy like that or a defense like that, you can't run an offense like that. You cannot be that predictable. I mean, to not run one play action pass and to run a pass and run out of every formation, that's something you don't even see in high school football. So again, very, very interesting. They were at home in that game as well.
And to answer your question, as we try to bruise through, you can't start Russell Wilson anymore now.
It's got to be Justin Fields.
Got to be Fields.
What do you think, Matthew? Justin Fields, I thought, looked pretty good. Him and George Pickens looked like they had a great chemistry there. He looked like he was a better throwing the ball, ran when he had to. And with that defense, you just got to be, for Pittsburgh, a decent quarterback and not turn the ball over. He did that yesterday.
Oh, yeah, he did that and more. I mean, he escaped out of the pocket. He extended plays. And he can make some of the throws that Pickens needs with his athletic profile to get going. I think Pickens is probably the best wide receiver he's had in his young NFL career. I also think, and this is sad to say, I think Najee Harris, Mr. Mediocre, I think he's probably the best running back he's probably played with in his league, at least consistently.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Last year, I think Khalil Herbert was the starter in Chicago.
Well, let's give Najee Harris a little credit though. He has had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
And I think this year with
but
Arthur
they Melvin
Smith,
Gordon-ish, man.
We know.
3.5 carries per yard, man. I'm just saying.
Well, now with Arthur Smith, you know they're going to pound the football. There's one thing you know about Arthur Smith is he's going to run it, and it may not be with the guy that should be running it. So we'll see how the offense goes. Let's run through the rest of this no huddle before we get into Monday Night Football. Quickly, Jason, we'll do this one here for you. Chargers beat the Raiders 22-10. Harbaugh gets another win in his debut. A 700 win percentage for Harbaugh. He's 45-19-1 in the NFL, Jason. 5-0 in week 1 as a head coach. J.K. Dobbins, a huge day on the ground for the Chargers.
Listen, I'm happy for J.K. Ravens didn't want to pay him. I understand why.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
But he's shown flashes.
But I would have taken a flyer on him, honestly, if I were the Ravens. But do you take J.K. and Gus out west with Greg Roman to the Chargers? They're going to.
And Harbaugh.
Herbert might throw for 4,500 yards just because he has a running game.
Well, he better get started then.
The
because
play
they didn't
action
throw it all
pass,
yesterday.
no, but the play action pass would be their best weapon all year long because if J.K. is good for anything else, he is good for a good 20, 25 carries. You can give Gus about 15 to 18. They're going ground and pound. They're thunder and lightning.
Yeah. And Joe
it's
Alt,
gonna happen.
phenomenal yesterday in that game. Was the only player in the last 3 years to hold Max Crosby 1-1-0 without a quarterback pressure. The rookie out of Notre Dame was great.
The problem for the Chargers is they have no number 1 wide receiver. That's it. That's what it is.
And then Josh Palmer thrown out of the game yesterday
Well,
for that fight in the
well,
back of the
well,
end zone. And
but-
he still wouldn't be, your number 1 receiver.
But
Lad McConkey?
that fight was earned. Josh Palmer did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I
don't think he should have been thrown out.
Yeah, they earned that fight yesterday.
And the Chargers
Good job.
laid it on the Raiders there. So Harbaugh, again, continues his success in the NFL. Big win. We'll see how Antonio Pierce and company are able to rebound. Zamir White, who I liked coming in, struggled mightily in that game yesterday. Matthew, Josh Allen and the Bills over the Cardinals 34-28. Allen was phenomenal, but the Cardinals gave them a battle, 34-28. They came down to the wire. The Buffalo able to hold on late in that one. But again, Cardinals not a great defense, one of the worst defenses last year. Yep. But Allen able to account for 4 touchdowns in that game. Bills over the Cardinals in the first game without Stephon Diggs.
That's why I got this nastiness on today.
And I will say, I do have the Josh Allen on today, but originally it was going to be Curtis Martin, New York Jets for Monday Night Football.
I'm glad you didn't wait. We came in here bone on bone with your knee.
But, went with Josh Allen again after the performance yesterday, Matt. Your takeaways from Buffalo's first game without Diggs?
I was not impressed. I was impressed with Josh Allen. He made some good plays. I don't know.
And I'm a Josh Allen guy, Matthew, and I'll say that.
Clearly.
But again, coming in, it's been a lot of talk about Josh Allen. The MVP numbers are going up after week 1. You know how that goes. But we have to remember here, it's the Cardinals who last year were a bottom 2 defense in the league. So as much as you'd like to say, 34, they won by 6 points at home in a game against the Cardinals. So again, he looked really good.
Yep.
But remember who he's going up against there in Arizona in that defense.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Look, I expect Allen to do better as the season progresses. He's another guy that seems to take a minute to get going before he starts playing well. But he's really going to have to have one of those wideouts step forward.
So again, you did not pick the Bills to win that division. I think you had Miami. I'm not sure. You have to correct me there. Did they sway you at all yesterday, or Dick? You said not impressed. You're going to stick with Miami.
I'm sticking with Miami still.
Very there. Speaking of the Dolphins, they come back to beat the Jaguars at home, 20-17. We're down a lot of this, but before we dive into the actual game, I want to get your guys' quick thoughts on the Tyreek Hill situation. Handcuffed, detained during a traffic stop. They're going to release the video later tonight. Has not been released yet. They said that he was uncooperative, is why they had to do that there. Just initial takeaways on Tyreek Hill, who then went on to have 7 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown in that game.
I hate to do it, but I got to. This is a race thing. I hate to do it. But Miami cops are notorious for this. This is not. This is.
And again,
this
it's
is
not
this,
all
this is
law
nothing,
enforcement, but in certain scenarios, like you said, there's some bad apples down there.
But this is nothing new.
You could tell by the video, in my opinion.
In Miami with the cops and darker skinned people, I'll say it that way. Yes, there was a reason you were stopped. I get that. We're not discrediting the fact that it was a legal stop. But that was excessive. I've never seen anybody get placed on the ground for a speeding violation. That's what it was.
A block from the stadium.
A block stadium. Then we know that privilege happens. It's Tyreek Hill. He plays for your team.
Block over.
If he's late for the game, give him an escort to the arena. Say, oh, okay, let's get you there. But then it wasn't just him. Calais Campbell got detained for trying to defend Tyreek Hill. Calais Campbell also was detained yesterday before the game. So if it were just Tyreek Hill, then we would be okay. It's something, but when you have Calais Campbell who also got detained, he wasn't even in the car, but he stopped. So again, you had the players riding past this incident on the way to the game and seeing Tyreek Hill and pulling over and stopping, trying to figure out what's going on. And then for one of the arresting officers to immediately be placed on administrative leave, that means something actually went down that wasn't supposed to.
Tells you, right? And that was quick, right?
That tells you a story. Because whether they were right or wrong, a lot of times that doesn't happen that fast.
And again,
but that tells you a story. But I love Tyreek's fun with it, with the celebration. And I love what he said in his press conference, where he said it's bigger than him. I know we try not to blur the line between politics and sports, and we're not really big Tyreek Hill fans when he speaks often. But he said something meaningful.
He wanted to be a cop.
He said he still wants to.
Yeah.
He said
That's true. He did say he still wants to.
He said something meaningful. I mean, but yeah, it was just a situation that could have been minimal, got really way out of hand for no real reason. Like, I've never seen anybody face down on the ground for a traffic stop. I just haven't seen it anywhere. Matt,
what do you think? Thoughts on that situation?
I mean, I'm more worried about the situation if it wasn't Tyreek Hill.
And that's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, at some point, no matter how much of a power trip that cop was on, at some point, he kind of was like, it's Tyreek Hill. I'm only going to go so far. Because there's money, there's prestige.
There's cameras.
There's cameras, So things can be a little different, So I get that. So, like, my whole worry about it is if this cop would have pulled over somebody's son, somebody's daughter, and had the same mentality, we might be having a whole different conversation. And I think that's the problem with these scenarios. I respect the law enforcement. I know they have a job. I know their job at the end of the day is to do their duty and then go home and not have anything happen to them. But at the same time, people have a right to be in their vehicles and expect that they're going to get home too, regardless of
what
race,
they said,
food, color, if they said something, if they asked a question. Because I think that's also part of the other thing too, right, is Calais Campbell said the cop was on a power trip. So we don't know what that means yet. But if somebody says, why am I getting pulled over, that may not be a situation of, oh, you're resisting arrest and now we're going to escalate it. Like, at some point, you learn about de-escalation. You learn about things that you have to do in high-stress situations. And I just sometimes wonder, is it training? Is it just willful ignorance to just not care? I don't know. But you get tired of hearing these stories. You get tired of reading these things. And every time I see it and every time I read about it, I always say to myself, as somebody that is a son, that is a driver, I do worry about it. Because, look, man, my son, he's a good kid, doesn't do anything, exceptionally wrong in life other than stupid kids things. And, if some cop is having a bad day and decides, to take it out, it's like, man, what am I able to do to protect him from that? So, yeah, we have conversations, and I try to do everything I can to give him the information to be a safe driver. But at the end of the day, these type of things still upset me and frustrate me. So that's just the way we are right now.
And unfortunately, in our communities, we all have, as coming up and still as adults, we've had the talk of what to do when you are pulled over.
Tyreek Hill said that in the press conference afterwards.
Yeah,
he said his uncle, hands on the wheel.
You've all, unfortunately, we've all been taught to talk. And that's something that we grow up learning. Like, unfortunately, and it's really sad, but we grew up learning the talk.
And again, he heard Tyreek Hill after. He says, it's not all law enforcement all over the country, but he goes, everywhere there are going to be a few bad apples, and that is most certainly the case all over the country. And, of course, maybe was the case yesterday in Miami. We'll wait more information there coming out as the video, again, should be released tonight. But Tyreek Hill, big game for him. Glad to see him. He was able to play and looked good doing it.
And celebration was just a big F you, if you will, to that officer. That was a great celebration. I'm sorry, it was. To me, it wasn't tasteless. It was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do it regardless.
No doubt. I agree 100%. Quickly before we get to Monday night, Saints blow out the Panthers. New offense here in New Orleans with Clint Kubiak. And, man, it was a case for me, guys, to decipher, was it how bad the Panthers are again this year, or is maybe the Saints offense going to be better? I have no idea, but week 1 was horrible for Dave Canales, Bryce Young, and the Panthers.
Quickly, it's both.
And quickly before you go on.
They're that bad, but also notice that last name of coordinator, Kubiak. That name rings bells in the NFL.
Super Bowl champion?
Offensive guru, his dad, Gary. So that's.
And again,
this
guys,
is bloodline.
Quickly, Bryce Young, number 1 pick last year. We all had C.J. Stroud. He looks way better. He had his season coming in. He has Dave Canales, who has been great with Geno Smith. He revamped so many quarterbacks' careers. And can we find? I know it's been 1 week, but can we say that Bryce Young is not it?
We said it last year.
But you always got to come in.
No, we don't.
It's 1 week.
No,
Are we overreacting?
No.
Overreaction Monday?
No, it's done.
And if so, if you look through what they gave up to get him, and for the number 1, I mean, it's
terrible.
crazy. I mean, it's going to go down as one of the worst.
And considering they could have got Stroud
Yeah, that's true too.
Without giving up anything.
without getting him. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it was not looking good for Dave Canales and the Carolina Panthers, expecting big things this year.
It's
and
the
a
curse of Cam
47-10 win.
Until you do right by Cam Newton.
And now to one team that might be worse than Carolina, the New York Giants. Daniel Jones is who we thought he was. Daniel Jones made another mind-boggling interception that led for a pick 6. We saw the 2 that he had the preseason. I mean, it's almost just as bad as Bryce Young, except he's making $45 million a year, guys. Vikings and Sam Darnold blow him out. Darnold throws for 2 touchdowns. Kevin O'Connell once again showing off his prowess as an offensive play caller. Minnesota runs through the Giants. Takeaways from New York.
Nothing.
The uniform was ugly.
Oh, yeah, true.
The quarterback was nasty.
Even uglier.
And y'all just need to blow that whole thing up.
Yeah, something needs to be done. I
If
feel
you
so
are
bad
Malik
for Malik
Neighbors, ask for a
yeah.
trade
Yeah.
now.
Trade already.
That's a fact, because it ain't going
And
to get
again,
no
if
better.
you watch Hard Knocks, it seemed like Joe Shane, who I'm not a big fan of, but it seemed like he called those teams about making a move for a quarterback just to hurt him out, but they decided not to, or I don't know. Either way, it's going to hurt him.
Start
Daniel
Tyrod
Jones
Taylor,
signing
please.
is going to be the downfall of that entire administration over there with the Giants. And we'll see how long. Again, Brian Daboll was part of that. He was the head coach
Daboll
for
gotta
Daniel
go, too.
Jones. We'll see what's going on. Let's jump to Monday Night Football here as we close it out. Jets and the Niners. It was San Fran -4 until word about half an hour ago. Christian McCaffrey
since then.
has been out of the game. Jordan Mason will get the start at running back. Very interesting. Again, no word beyond that on Christian McCaffrey. He was supposed to be a full go tonight. So my fantasy season is looking bad going forward. Just 4 plays last year for Aaron Rodgers. The Jets come into the season with the longest active playoff drought in the NFL. Haven't made the postseason since 2010. Matthew, we'll start with you in the Niners.
Yeah.
3 new guys coming back. I can take out McCaffrey. He's not playing.
Yep.
Trent Williams was activated about 2 hours ago.
Thank
Was
God.
not there for training camp or anything like that. No preseason. It'll be his first game
Silverback,
of
you
action
good?
there. And then Brandon Ayuk, they're saying he'll be on a snap count. So those 2 guys haven't been with the team all summer, or been with the team but haven't played or practiced all summer. How do you anticipate the Niners coming out today, putting all those pieces back together for the first time?
I mean, it's going to be rough regardless. I mean, I don't think we have Hufanga back yet. I don't think we have Greenlaw's not going to be back yet. So, I mean, we still got some injuries. Drake Jackson's not back. He was a decent defensive end for us. So, yeah, like I still think we're a little banged up. We still got some issues. I'm really, to tell you the truth, I'm really worried about Hufanga. I'm really worried about him.
Yeah, they're a big part of that defense. And
I don't
now-
know if his career is going to ever step forward again.
And again, they did release that video of Tyreek Hill. I haven't seen it. I just got it on my phone a few minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
And apparently it's not – I mean, I just read the comments and what I've been told. They said it's not good for, I believe, the police department. So we'll see how that goes going forward. We're going to try to watch that when the show concludes. But Aaron Rodgers back tonight. Jason, the Jets defense versus the 49ers offense. I think that's going to be one of the big matchups here. If you were the Jets, you got to limit that run game. But again, no more Christian McCaffrey, so maybe that changes everything going forward.
Definitely does.
What do you guys think?
But here's now.
We'll do our picks, and then we'll get to our over-unders. And
Now.
stuff like that.
With McCaffrey not playing, right? The Jets defense is about to blitz Brock Purdy at every single drop back. And it may not be pretty.
Purdy struggled in the preseason, but like Matthew said earlier in the program, no McCaffrey. Now it's time. You're going to have to get paid next year. You got to show that you can be worth that money now, right?
We're going to see.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our over-unders here, and let's start with Brock Purdy, Matthew.
Yep.
239.5 passing yards. What do you think for Brock Purdy tonight? Will he get over that mark? Ayuk on a limited snap count and no CMC.
He'll just hit it.
Just hit it. Over to you, Aaron Rodgers, Jason McCall. 231.5 pass yards, first game back in over a year without Achilles.
They're going to force feed Aaron Rodgers over.
Over. Brees Hall, 67.5 rush yards. Sneaky pick for offensive player in the year in that AFC conference. Big expectations for Brees Hall, Matthew, 67.5.
Over.
Over for Brees Hall. A guy we talked about earlier in the show, Jason Garrett Wilson, 69.5 yards, has been in quarterback purgatory his entire life. Zach Wilson last year, Strevlin and Mike White the year before. He finally gets Aaron Rodgers, 69.5 yards for Wilson here in the opener.
Over.
Over. I'm with you there on the over. Ayuk on a snap count, Matthew, 49.5 yards. Will he get there?
Yeah.
Debo, 51.5 yards. Now with no CMC, maybe some extra rushes coming his way. But what about receiving? 51.5 yards.
Under.
And again, under. So
Because you're going to have more rushing
And
yards.
I'm leaning with that. I think I don't have the
Yeah.
number on me right now, but I'm going to lean because McCaffrey's out. Give me the Debo over rushing now tonight. I think they're going to find ways to get him the ball for sure. CMC's was 73.5. No need for that anymore. He is out tonight, calf and Achilles. Anytime touchdowns, guys, I'm going with Brees Hall. Again, the odds not too as much of an underdog there for the running back from the Jets, but give me Brees Hall anytime touchdown.
If you want a sleeper anytime touchdown pick, just get some money. Jawan Johnson.
We're going Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason
I think
again.
he'll buck one.
There you go. Well, there you have it. All of our picks here tonight. Who wins the game, guys?
The NFL.
Well, last year we lost Aaron Rodgers. This year we don't have McCaffrey. Give me the Jets with the points with no McCaffrey here for San Fran and Ayuk on a limited snap count. What do you think? What are you guys going with?
This game is going to be that McCaffrey being out really changes his.
Changes everything.
Changes the entire outlook of my fantasy football season going forward.
Just one game, you'll be okay.
We've seen this before, though, guys. One game turns into about 14. And I'm nervous. And speaking of that, before we close out, are you nervous about that, Matthew, going forward? You think McCaffrey, this could linger? I mean, it's not good. Nowhere at all. But then all of a sudden, week one, he's out. I don't think that's forecasting good for the year.
No, I don't like it.
I don't like it either. On that note, let's head out and watch Monday Night Football. Dennis, thank you very much. We'll see everybody back here next Monday.